real quick, and we're going to talk a little bit about something that's interesting to me at least. All right, this is from Deuteronomy 25:13. All right, thou shalt not have in thy bag divers weights, a great and a small. Anybody know what that's talking about? All right, well, we'll get back to it for a second. Man, how was y'all's week?
Good.
Yeah, still enjoying the summer?
I'm at the beach.
You were at the beach? Awesome, man. Did you see anything cool? Any sharks?
No, but we caught a bunch of hermit crabs.
Bunch of hermit crabs? That's awesome. That's awesome. That's fun. Anybody else do anything fun this past week? Yeah, just stay out of school. When school start?
Next Monday.
Next Monday?
Mine
Yeah.
starts on 5 more days.
5 more days. You got the countdown going, huh?
I don't even like school.
You don't even like school?
I'm just
What?
like you.
Oh, you're just like him too? Well, that's not, you get to see all your friends and learn new stuff. Man, that'd be awesome. Well, if you don't like school, wait till you get to work. Yeah, wait till that happens.
Daddy,
That's right.
I'll probably take your place.
You take my place, you can have my place. Tell you what, I'll take your place and go back to go back to kindergarten, and you can have my place. That'd be awesome. I'd be awesome at recess now. Yeah, I'd do all the monkey bars quick. All right, so that verse I read, I'm gonna read it again. Y'all see if y'all can tell me what it's saying. It's sort of old language. It's the King James version. So, all right, listen. See what you think this is. Oh, I lost my spot. There we go. 25:13. Thou shalt not have in thy bag divers weights, a great and a small. Anybody know what that means? All right, Deuteronomy, they're sort of given rules to live by. And let me ask you something. Back in the day, how did they measure stuff? Knox, listen. How did they measure stuff? Anybody know? Well, I'm gonna give you some examples of how they used to measure. Because now we have measurements, right? We have feet, we have inches, and we have miles, and we have pounds, and we've got all these different ways that we've all agreed upon. So let me give you some different ones. Hold on. All right. What about? Has anybody ever heard of a stone as a unit of weight?
Yes.
How much does a stone weigh then?
1,000 pounds.
1,000 pounds? That's a good guess. A stone. Now you think about all the different things. They call it a stone, but you think about stones.
I think a boulder weighs 1,000 and
A boulder? All right. Well, anybody else got a guess of what a stone weighs? What they used to when they would use a stone?
100,000.
100,000 what? 100,000 pounds?
150 pounds.
150 pounds? That's a pretty good guess. You know, they still use it in Great Britain when they talk about certain athletes or whatever. They'll say how many stones they are. You know what one stone was? Yeah, that's how they still use it.
An emerald.
Yeah, one stone is 14 pounds. So if somebody said, let's say somebody, you'll hear them in Great Britain every now and then, they'll say, that man is 10 stone. That means he's 140 pounds, is 10 stones. But anyway, so that's one old unit. Anybody know what a peck is? That's a unit of measurement. Richard Nutt probably remembers what a peck is. Where is he at around here? Yeah. Anybody ever heard of a bushel? A bushel basket? Yeah. You know how much a bushel is? How many pounds?
I think 40.
About 40? How many? 100,000? Anybody else know how many? It varies based on what kind of crop you're putting in it. How much?
How about 20 pounds?
20 pounds? That's close. A bushel now for soybeans, I think, is 32. And it varies based on other things. And a peck is 1/4 of a bushel. Gotcha? All right, so that'd be 8 pounds on soybeans. Let me ask you, what about a rod? You ever heard of a thing called a rod as a unit of measurement? Huh? You ever heard of a rod? Yeah. You know, that's actually referenced in the Bible. You think about what is a rod? Anybody know?
Fishing.
It's like a fishing rod. That's right. And so it's some length, right? And that's what it used to when they'd measure stuff. They had to know how big something was. So they'd literally lay the rod down, mark where the end of it was, lay the rod down again, and they would measure how many rods it was until they measured it. Like they were measuring, and that's in the Bible in a couple of places. Well, in England back in the day, a rod was equal to 5.5 yards. You know, 5.5. Do you know where that came from?
2 million years.
That came from where that was how long the chains that went to the ox were normally when they were plowing with the ox. What about what about a furlong? You ever heard of a furlong? As far as the length of measurement? Anybody ever heard of that? You know how long that was? Hey, you know how long a furlong was? That was how far an oxen could plow without resting. That was a furlong. So if you had a good ox, a fur could be pretty long, right? You had a bad ox, that'd be a fur short. You know, that's right. Because the bad ox, if your ox wasn't real strong, how did they make? So there was no good way of measuring stuff that was standard, right? Because if I had a good ox, or I had a stone that weighed different from somebody else's, and that's what Deuteronomy was saying, is do not carry in your bag a large stone and a small stone, because people would cheat people with that. They used knots. They used balances. And that's how they would weigh stuff. If somebody was going to buy some grain to make bread, they'd put it on one side of the scale, the old balance, and they'd put the stone on the other to see how many they could measure. Well, if you had a big stone and a small stone, you could cheat somebody. Because if they said, if I want 5 stones, and you pulled the small stone out of your bag and put up there, they didn't get as much. But if you put the big stone up there, they got what they were supposed to get. And that's what Deuteronomy was telling them. It was telling us to be honest and not lie. Don't try to cheat people.
What if they got a little, or big?
Well, that's what, see, people could have various, and that's why over time we all agreed as to what a thing would do. So now we have something, anybody ever seen one of these? Tape measures, right? And so we got those in what? Inches and feet and everything. We all agreed at some point. We had a big meeting, and the government agencies agreed this is how long an inch is going to be. So every tape measure you buy, as long as it's a good tape measure, an inch is an inch is an inch. It's going to be the same length. Because otherwise, if your tape measure said an inch was that long, and I told you to go build me something, it would be all messed up, right? So we had to agree. But back then, they didn't have these tape measures and agreements. And so the Bible was telling people to be honest when you're dealing with other people. And so it's important for us now, especially as we start school, to remember we've got to be honest with our friends. And we got to do stuff like that. Like, Knox, would you, if somebody said they were going to give you a sucker, and they gave it to you, and you unwrapped it, and it had already been half eaten, would you feel good about that? Would you still eat it? You sure? All right. All right. Well, I'm going to give y'all some suckers this morning, or some candy, okay? Y'all, that's who wants to say our prayer this morning. Huh? You want to say? All right, say it. Amen. All right, and hold it back.